It's your favorite story timer, Annie, and her best pal, E. And today we are going to be reading
Shadow Jumper! I'm so excited. Can't wait to know what happens next. You always leave off at cliffhangers, Annie.
You're so impatient, little E. Patience and persistence is key because yes, we are reading Shadow Jumper again, and yes, we must indeed finish this book because I need to finish it. We are like halfway through. It's so weird, isn't it? Anyways, so E, are you ready for page 67?
Yeah!
Let's start the video. So, go to page 67, and at the bottom of the page, Jack was asking me a very important question. I'll rephrase the question, and then we can finish the rest of this chapter and maybe start the other chapter. Why? Asked Jack. Why did they leave? There were lots of tales around the town about experiments going wrong and your dad getting the blame. I suspect that's why he left. But I didn't get the chance to ask at the time I did, and I didn't hear from your mum and dad again for months. Tom's never been good at keeping in touch, and we've never been close, given the age difference. Jack tried to remember how much older she was than Dad, but drew a blank. Aunt Lil's eyes took on a faraway look for a moment. When he finally contacted me, he didn't mention bioscience discoveries. I assumed he wanted to forget the whole episode, so I never brought the subject up. Since then, Tom hasn't stayed in a job or one place for long. With those nasty rumors around, I imagine he found it difficult to find anyone who'd employ him. Why didn't Mum and Dad tell me any of this? You were so young, dear. They had no reason to. Sometimes it's best to move on. Aunt Lil rose to her feet and started clearing the breakfast things into the sink. So was Dad kicked out of his job because he messed up? Jack's insides flipped over as he tried to make sense of what Aunt Lil had told him. Mistakes happen, she said as she wiped her soapy hands on her apron. But it was gossip and rumors. Who knows what really took place? Best you leave it at that. He didn't know what to think. He knew so little about Dad's past. He'd tried asking when he was younger, but Dad had clammed up or changed the subject. Mum's angry argument words rattled around in Jack's head. What if Dad was so unreliable he'd made a mistake at work? If the rumors weren't true, why had Dad left bioscience discoveries in such a hurry? It didn't make any sense. The best thing to do, my dear, is not to worry about it. Sit tight here and wait for Tom to get in touch. I spoke to Maeve last night. Luckily, she'd been at work, so hadn't had a chance to worry about you, but she's not happy. Jack hung his head. He hadn't given Mum much thought since he'd left yesterday evening. She's coming to pick you up on Saturday, Aunt Lil continued. She wanted to come straight away, but I managed to persuade her to let you stay for a few days. I thought you might want a bit of a break. It wasn't easy to change her mind, though. Thanks, Aunt Lil, murmured Jack. And she's organized to take you back home too, Beth. Your poor guardian Peter was on the verge of calling the police when I rang him. My advice to you both is stay out of trouble till Saturday. Go to the cinema or something. Before we do that, said Beth as she headed for the back door, the bus station must be open by now, so can we get going, please? Chapter 10. Are you ready? We'll leave him to sleep. Jack squeezed the tube and a dollop of cream splattered onto his hand. He rubbed the sticky substance into his face and worked it around the back of his neck. His skin cooled for a second as it soaked in, leaving tiny goosebumps on his flesh. As he kneaded, he caught sight of his pale, shiny face in the mirror hanging in the porch. The red patch behind his right ear had grown bigger and was clearly visible, spreading out over the top of his ear and into his hairline. His heart gave a sickening thud as he examined the layer of crusty old blood covering the center of the blotch. He must have been scratching it during the night. He grimaced as his fingers accidentally brushed over the sore, causing a piercing pain to shoot along the outside edge of his ear. Wiping the excess lotion into the back of his hand in practice sweeps, he tried to push back the gloomy thoughts that kept popping into his head. Jack glanced out of the front door. Aunt Lil stood by the curb next to her red Mini. She gave one final buff to the bonnet with a soft cloth and then stepped back to admire it. The perfect paintwork gleamed in the morning sunlight. "Let's go!" called Beth as she bounded out the house and settled into the front passenger seat. Jack, to his relief, climbed in the back behind Aunt Lil. At least sitting there, he wouldn't be tempted to wrestle the steering wheel out of her hands. Aunt Lil didn't know how to drive. Not really. That was what Jack thought anyway. But with the grinding gears, jerky starts, and driving at about 0 miles an hour, it was impossible to see how they were going to get anywhere. Beth seemed jumpy. As he watched, she picked a dry flake of skin off her bottom lip. A drop of blood bubbled up, which she quickly licked away. A muscle in her jaw twitched as she stared fixedly out the window. What was her problem? She was acting so weirdly. Uneasy feelings simmered along with the big breakfast inside his belly. When Aunt Lil finally drew to a shuddering halt outside the station, Beth sprang from the car without a word of thanks and vaulted up the steps. "She's in a hurry," commented Aunt Lil. "Is she all right?" Yes, thanks for the lift," said Jack awkwardly. "We'll make our own way back later." Aunt Lil fumbled in her handbag and produced a 20-pound note, telling Jack to go and enjoy himself. "Cheers, Aunt Lil," said Jack as he pocketed the money, glad to have some extra cash to add to his dwindling supplies. He adjusted his hood, hopped out of the car, and sprinted towards the main entrance of the bus station. The concourse hummed with the sound of engines and chatter of passengers milling around. There was no sign of Beth. And that's where we're going to end this chapter today. So on page 72. So what do you think? Beth is still worried about her rucksack. So that is really interesting. Have you ever lost a specific possession that you really wanted to get back? I don't remember having lost anything, but I do lose a lot of stuff, including my book notes, because I have a lot of story ideas that I have in my head, and since my head is so full, I need to put them on pieces of paper. If only I had a pensieve, just like in Harry Potter. If you know what that is, then you can like and subscribe to this channel for more awesome content. Well, it seems to be the end. Tune in next time for more awesome adventures with Anytime Storytime and her sweet little pal, E. Goodbye, guys!